Hey guys, welcome to the Beast Show. As I promised, I'm gonna bring one of the guests. Actually, the guest today, me and him go way back. Like we met in 2013. We were applying for an exchange program coming to US, and we were like I think 14 years old by then. But today, I decided to bring him so that he can be able to tell you how he came to the US or how he joined the Ivy League school. But yeah, I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and then we're gonna start the show.
Hi guys, happy to be at the Biz Show. As he's told you, we've known each other for like a long time, going to like 8 years now. And yeah, happy to like be part of this, and you'll know more about me as the interview goes on.
All right. So since you're in Ivy League, we're gonna try to see whether you're smarter than a fifth grader. So I'm gonna ask you the first question, and then we see. Yeah. So, what is the largest internal organ of the body?
The liver.
The liver. Okay. What is a group of crows?
Wow. Pass. Pass.
No, it's a mother.
A
Okay.
mother?
Yeah. I'll ask you more as we go on with the show. So, could you tell us more about your upbringing, like where you were born and raised?
Yeah, I'm Kenyan, so I was born and raised in Mombasa, which is by the coast of the country, and that's pretty much my upbringing.
Have you always been a top performer in school?
This is a very tricky question. I don't want to blow my own horn,
Yeah.
but
You can blow your horn. You can blow your horn in the Beast Show. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with this show. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't always the top student in class, until maybe when I was in like fifth grade. That's when I started like getting a hang of things and understanding things.
Yeah.
And from there, I always tried to maintain like a good position and try to do well in school. Yeah.
All right. So what study methods do you apply? Are you like a bookwormer?
No, I think this knows me, and I'm not too much of a bookworm. I think I usually do like enough to make sure like I do well, and enough for me is probably not the same as enough for someone else. So basically, when I study, I make sure I understand everything I need to know. So if we've studied like 8 topics, I'll make sure as I'm studying, I know everything in those 8 topics. So before any exam, I'll usually try and ensure that I know everything
Right.
that I need to know. Yeah.
When you first came to the US, what is your first perception of the US? What did you think about it?
Initially, but the story of how I came to the US is funny because we had an accident. I live in Kenya, but I won't delve into that. I think my first perception was I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
I was in high school at the time in a small town in California called Bakersfield, and the people were really nice. The high school was quite easy, so I actually really liked it compared to like back home in Kenya.
So when you told your parents about you coming to the US, did they accept it like begrudgingly, or were they already pretty much okay with it?
My my father initially was the one who had like like several thoughts on whether he wanted me to travel abroad, which is quite ironical. Is someone who's traveled much.
Mhm.
On the other hand, my mother was like open to it,
Yeah.
and she she knew it was gonna like open up many opportunities eventually,
Yeah.
and it did. So my mother was very supportive of it.
Okay. Sounds good. So what made you apply to college in the US?
Yes. So the first time I traveled here, and as I've mentioned, my first perceptions, given like how high school was,
Yeah.
I I initially thought the people were really nice, and very welcoming. And
Yeah.
again, the high school system was like quite simple
Yeah.
compared to back home. So
Yeah.
um, so initially I thought it was gonna be like easy, like I thought college life would be easy, college life would be like fun.
Yeah.
That was my initial, thoughts to it. And going further into like my thought process, I wanted to study here because for college specifically, because I knew I'd get like so many more opportunities
Yeah.
to like uh, just be like I'd get more opportunities, especially with regards to my career, and my goals moving forward. So it was an easy decision deciding to apply because I knew opportunities would open as compared to back home.
Okay. So tell us, how many schools did you apply to?
I applied to quite a number of schools. I think I can't remember the exact number, but definitely more than 15. More than 15 for sure.
All right.
Yes.
Could you mention like 5 of them?
Yes. Okay. I applied to University of Pennsylvania. I applied to Yale. I applied to Yale in Singapore. I applied to University of Chicago. I applied to Vanderbilt, Pomona College.
Yeah.
I applied to University of Rochester, Lafayette College. So yeah, quite a number of schools. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, what was the process like?
Yes, the process is quite long, and so initially you have to study for the SATs and you have to take them. At the moment, you don't need to. So, like right now, many schools are phasing out the SAT requirement, but when I was taking it, I had to like study for it. That's just one aspect of the application process. Another aspect of the application process is the application itself. So for my school, we use the common application, the common app, which it's like a website you can go to. And aside from the common app, within the common app, I had to write an application essay, and I believe we're going to talk about it later on in this video. And aside from that, I had to go back to my high school and get recommendation letters from my teachers, a school report from my counselor, and that was basically the process for me.
All right. How many schools do you get accepted into? Since you're very smart.
Funny enough, I only got accepted to Columbia. I got waitlisted by the University of Rochester, but I didn't follow up with them
because
I got into Columbia.
Is in the UK?
No, Rochester is in New York, actually, upstate New York. So, yeah, it's in upstate New York.
All right, sounds good. So, what do you think made your application stand out for Columbia?
Yes. And I was going to talk about it. So, I've mentioned how I was, kind of rejected by all these other schools. I think the important thing is to make sure once you're applying, you make the school want you. For these other applications, I can tell you for free, I didn't spend too much time on them. I literally check if there was like a deadline, and that's when I would apply to the school, like on the day of. As compared to Columbia, where I did like my own research. So on to like what made my application stand out. One, I think an important thing is that I got to meet the admissions counselor when they traveled to Kenya. So I got to meet her and I got to speak with her. And we maintained, a cordial correspondence. And after that, given I had done my research in Columbia, one of my mentors was a freshman at Columbia at the time. I knew exactly what I was going to get from Columbia. And so in my application, I made sure they knew that I knew what I was going to get from them. And I also made them want me to be part of them. So I think that's what made my application stand out.
All right. So what was the feeling when you got the news that you accepted?
Well, on the day of, it was, I think, in end March, probably end March, and I hadn't told anyone I was expecting Columbia, and Columbia was the last school I opened. So I think 45 minutes before then, I had gotten waitlisted by the University of Rochester. So I kind of like had hope, but I was also like being resigned to the fact that maybe I'll just stay in Kenya, go to law school, and be like a big shot lawyer in Kenya. And now, right before opening the Columbia application, I opened the Yale app, and I had no hopes. I had like zero hopes for Yale. So I got rejected by Yale. And then I opened the University of Pennsylvania, the notification. I opened it and I rejected as well. I was quite surprised because I thought I had a good chance with that. Then once I opened Columbia, it was like this video that was just popping up. And I remember I was staying, I had 2 other roommates at the time. So like I just saw the video and I was like, it was like at 2 a.m. I'm shouting like, guys, I got in, I got in. And my roommates was there, and like I started crying. It's just a crazy, crazy experience. I
Yeah.
was so excited. Yeah.
All right. So I understand you do economics now. What made you change from law to economics?
Yes, this is like an important thing for people, for international students, or like students in like other countries. So in the US, you can't study law or medicine as an undergraduate degree. You have to study. You have to go to college, get your first degree, and like take like a pre-law path or like a pre-med path.
Yeah.
And those paths have like several courses you have to take. Then
Yeah.
after you get your degree, you apply. Not even after you get your degree, but like when you're like maybe a senior, you apply to law school or to med school. Or after you get your degree, you can apply to med school or law school.
Yeah.
So given that I couldn't directly apply to I couldn't directly apply to law school as an undergrad. That's why I chose economics. And the reason I chose economics, I'd never considered it. I never took business in high school.
Yeah.
The reason I just knew that people took either economics or computer science coming
Yeah.
into the US.
Okay.
So, and you know, my mentor at the time was studying economics. So I chose economics, and I was interested in international relations.
Yeah.
So I also chose political science. I didn't go on with political science because I loved the quantitative nature of economics. I enjoyed the math in it. So that's why I stick with econ.
Okay, so we're gonna try to take a break a bit. So I'm gonna ask you another question. Since we said, you're from my village, we're gonna see whether you are smarter than a fifth grader.
I feel like I'm gonna fail this question.
No, you actually it's gonna be an easy question. So which is the only state in the US that has one state bordering it?
The only state in the US that has
One state bordering it.
My United States geography is in the tip. I would guess Alaska, but like Alaska has no state bordering it. Neither does Hawaii.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hawaii
actually doesn't have any states bordering it. Hawaii is very down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hawaii and Alaska don't.
Yeah, it's actually in the north.
It's in the north?
Yeah.
Wow. I'd guess, is it Delaware?
No, it's Maine.
Maine? Oh, man, yeah. I wasn't gonna get it. I knew it.
All right, I'm gonna ask you the last one. So, what country invented fireworks?
Fireworks?
Yeah.
Oh my God. China?
Yeah, that's China.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it's China. It's China. All right. So, have you ever worked in school, like an on-campus job?
Yes, and I'd like to say that it's very important to like. It also depends on like the economic status of your parents, but I feel like for many internationals, it's usually important to internationals from Africa in particular. It's usually important to like have an on-campus job because that's where you get the money you're going to be spending while you're here. Aside from that, it teaches you like how to earn and like how to save the money you earn. Mm-hmm. So you'll get to like know about your spending habits and start like a saving culture and investing culture. So yes, I've worked all through my 4 years, and it's been good, like trying to find a balance between studying and work. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
All right. What's one thing you wish you knew before you came to the US, like for college?
Yeah. Okay. So as I've mentioned, as I started this video, I mentioned how I thought like college was gonna be like high school, which was like quite easy in the US compared to back home. I wish I knew that college here was really intense. It's more intense than anything you've ever experienced. And if I had known that prior to coming, I think I'd have been more prepared, especially in my first year. I wouldn't have been as shocked as I was. This isn't to tell people do not apply. I feel like so many of us have gotten here. So I'm about to graduate. This has graduated. So it happens to like so many of us that you're gonna work through it and you're gonna like make it. So I wish I knew it was difficult, but like it still worked out anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. To add on what he said, in the US here, in college, you get a lot of homeworks every day, a lot of quizzes, which add up to, the semester grade. So if you don't take care and you keep missing the quizzes, then your grade is gonna be low.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever mentored somebody who wanted to come to the US?
Yes, actually, I used to be in. I've done this choice. I've worked with the Equity Group Foundation, which is a part of like Equity Bank,
Yeah.
and I've been part of like I've mentored a couple students.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them got into like good schools. Some of them unfortunately did not. So again, like getting into a school is usually like difficult, but like several people have got into good schools like Harvard, Smith College, Stanford University, Columbia itself. So yeah, I've taken part in mentoring, and it's something I enjoy. I have to say, it's something I enjoy.
All right. So, what would be your advice for somebody who's out there thinking about coming to study in the US or in general, or who is actually trying to take another step forward and try to get into the Ivy League? Because I couldn't make it to the Ivy League, so aren't you? You can actually advise me.
I think you didn't try hard enough. I think you're smart enough to be here.
Yeah.
Yes, I think my piece of advice is, first of all, do your research. Know what the schools require, know what the schools want. Once you do your research, you'll know where to apply, and you'll know which school is the best fit for you. Something I didn't mention before is that all these schools are in different places, and every school has a different vibe to it. So you have to know whether the school you're applying to is going to be good to you, whether you're going to enjoy life in the school, because there's a lot more than academics to it. So first things first, do your research. Second thing, once you do your research and you know what's required, like when you're working on your application, put in a lot of work. It took me, I can't remember how many drafts it took me to like get the essay that I actually went with. It took me maybe 2 months to like come up with the perfect essay.
Yeah.
And I think the essay is a very important part of your application, especially now that scores are not like super required.
Yeah.
Third thing, study. In as much as scores are not required, you'd be in a good position if you like took the SATs and like did well in them. So study and make sure you get a good score, because it's really gonna help your application.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 3 pieces of advice that I have for anyone who wants to apply abroad.
And to add on to what you said, I would say, let's say if you were trying to apply to a big school, especially in the tech industry, the school where you went to really matters. So if you can't get into the school, the other thing you can do, you can get to a different school and then just make sure your scores are high, and then you can always apply to another school as a transfer student. It's easier here in the US to transfer from one university to another.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And wherever you go, always make sure you give 100. You give 100, yeah. And also, you've mentioned tech, but also I'm gonna be going into finance, and I think in finance as well, like sometimes the name of the school matters. So it's better to like put in the work right now, so that eventually when you're looking for a job, it's a little bit easier for you.
All right, sounds good. We're gonna test you, see whether you failed the first test of seeing whether you're smarter than a 5th grader. So we're gonna give you the last question as we wind up on the show, and we see whether you're gonna be able to answer it. So,
okay, let's go.
How many grams are there in 1,000 kilograms?
Sorry, a million.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that was fast. I thought you were gonna get confused.
I know. I was almost confused, but like I told you, math is my thing, So I was like 1,000 grams, yeah, a million.
All right. What is one last thing you'd want to tell somebody out there who is thinking, I want to study in the US, but I don't know where to start. I'm just coming from humble beginnings, and maybe I'm a first generation college student. Nobody is there to show me the path, and I don't know where to start. What is that thing you might tell them that you think is gonna motivate them to start applying?
So in order to motivate them, I will tell them that the US is mostly meritocracy. In that, I mean, once you're here, if your merit will matter. It's not like other places where you need like connections to get a job. Like here, as long as you're good at what you do, you are likely going to succeed, whether it's in school, whether it's in like in your career. So for someone who doesn't know where to start, first of all, if you're watching this, just comment. Another thing is like reach out to people who are abroad. Almost everyone I know who's traveled here has always been willing to help people apply. So just like reach out to people who are abroad. Once again, you don't know where to start. If you're watching this video, you can reach out to us. That's like a good place to start. So yeah.
And I'm gonna put down his email here. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask him. We're gonna give you this information for free. We're not charging. So take advantage of that. And we're gonna come to the end of the show. And I hope everything that you learned, you're gonna apply it. And if you're wanting to come to the US, just take that first step, and you're gonna meet us here when you come here. So please don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification so that you can be able to know when we post another video. See you till next time.
Till next time, guys. Thanks for having me.